Let's start with question 1.1. The gravitational force experienced by an object on the surface of a planet is inversely proportional to the correct answer is C, the square of the radius of the planet. On your formula sheet, you will find the equation representing Newton's universal law of gravitation. Now let's look at this equation. You can see that the gravitational force represented by F is directly proportional to the mass of the object as well as the mass of the planet. But note that it is inversely proportional to the square of the radius of the planet. The correct answer is therefore C. The gravitational force is inversely proportional to the square of the radius of the planet. Let's now move on to question 1.2. A horizontal force F acts on a block placed on a rough horizontal surface. The block, starting from rest, moves to the right at constant acceleration. Which one of the following statements is correct? The correct answer is B. The momentum of the block increases. Let's look at all the options in detail. Let's start with statement A. F is equal to the kinetic frictional force. If we draw the free body diagram of that statement, it looks like this, and you see that F is equal to the kinetic frictional force. But this then means that the net force, F net, is equal to 0. And if F net is equal to 0, the block would continue moving at a constant velocity. But read the question. We don't have constant velocity, we have constant acceleration. So this means that F must be greater than the kinetic frictional force in order for the object to accelerate at a constant rate. So statement A is false. Statement B. The momentum of the block increases. Since the block is undergoing constant acceleration, its velocity is increasing. Since the momentum is equal to the mass of the block times the velocity of the block, and we know that the mass of the block remains constant while the velocity of the block increases, the momentum of the block also increases as its velocity increases, because momentum is directly proportional to velocity. So statement B is indeed the correct answer. You know that the net work done, W net, is equal to the change in kinetic energy. We've already established that the velocity of the block increases, hence its kinetic energy will also increase. Therefore, the net work done will be a positive value. It will not be equal to 0, so C is false. Lastly, statement D, the normal force is less than the weight of the block. If we look at the block, you have your normal force upwards, which will be equal to the weight of the block. So the normal force is equal in magnitude to the weight of the block. As you can see, the block remains on the horizontal surface. There is no net vertical force acting on the block, so statement D is wrong. So since the block is undergoing constant acceleration, we know that the velocity increases and momentum is directly proportional to velocity, so the correct answer is B. Objects A and B are thrown vertically upwards with velocities v and 2v respectively. Object A reaches a maximum height h. What is the maximum height reached by object B? Ignore the effects of friction. The correct answer is D, 4h. Now, before I explain how we arrive at this answer, let's think about it practically. If I throw an object upwards with a greater initial velocity, I would expect it to reach a greater maximum height. Therefore, we can immediately eliminate A and C. The question now is it B or is it D? We are dealing with vertical projectile motion, so we use the equation from the formula sheet. At the maximum height, the final velocity is equal to 0. The object comes to a still stand. So we can rewrite that as 0 equals the initial velocity squared plus 2a delta y. Now, for this question, let's take upwards as the positive direction. Then we will see that vi squared remains positive, so this will be equal to vi squared plus 2 is a constant. Gravity acts downwards, so this will be negative g, and the maximum height also upwards, let's call that h max. We can then rewrite this as h max is equal to the initial velocity squared divided by 2g. For object A, we know that the maximum height reached is h. The initial velocity is v, and v squared is written as such, divided by 2g. So this is for A. Now for B, we have to now determine what is the new maximum height. That is equal to the initial velocity, which is 2v. So we're going to square 2v divided by 2g. And that gives us 4v squared divided by 2g, which is equal to 4 times v squared over 2g. But v squared over 2g is equal to h. So it's going to be 4 times h. Therefore, object B reaches a maximum height of 4h. The correct answer is therefore D, 4h. Let's move on to question 1.4. Two trolleys, A and B, of masses M1 and M2 respectively, are held at rest on a frictionless surface with a compressed spring between them. When the trolleys are released, the spring expands and drops. If the velocity of trolley A is now positive v, what is the velocity of trolley B? The correct answer is B. Initially, both trolleys are at rest, so the total initial momentum is 0. It's the mass of trolley A, which is m1, times the velocity of trolley A. It is at rest, so that is 0, plus the mass of trolley B, that's m2, times its velocity, and that is 0. So the total initial momentum is equal to 0. Now, according to the principle of conservation of momentum, the total momentum of an isolated system remains constant. Since this is indeed an isolated system, the total momentum must therefore remain zero. So we have that m1 v1 plus m2 v2 is equal to 0. Now we're going to look at the scenario where the spring has dropped. So we will substitute our new velocity into our equation. So now it becomes m1 positive v, because we substitute this value into our equation, plus m2 v2. We don't know what v2 is at this stage. That is equal to 0. So now we can rearrange our equation and we can say that m2 v2 is equal to minus m1 v. And now we can divide by m2 on both sides. So v2 is equal to minus m1 divided by m2 times v. Now the negative sign indicates that trolley B moves in the opposite direction to trolley A. And this corresponds to option B. Our last question, 1.5. A motor lifts a load vertically upwards at a constant speed. Which one of the following combinations of the work done by the motor and the power dissipated by the motor is correct? The correct answer is C. The load is lifted upwards by the motor at a constant speed. Constant speed means acceleration is 0, so the net force acting on the load must be equal to 0. And if we now draw our free body diagram, we can conclude that the upward force exerted by the motor must be equal to the weight of the load. And this is equal to the mass of the load times g. So the force remains constant. But the work done by the motor is what we should calculate. So the work done by the motor is equal to the upwards force exerted by the motor times the vertical displacement times the cos of theta. So this will be equal to the F of the motor, which remains constant as it is equal in magnitude to the weight of the load, times delta H times the cos of theta. And what is theta? The force acts upwards on the load and the displacement is also upwards. So theta is equal to 0 degrees. And the cos of 0 degrees is 1. So the work done by the motor is equal to a constant, i.e. the force exerted by the motor on the load, times the vertical displacement. So the greater the value of delta y, in other words, the higher the load is lifted, the more work is done by the motor. Therefore, the work done by the motor increases as the load is lifted higher. This also makes intuitive sense. The higher the load is lifted, the greater its gravitational potential energy becomes. Now we have to consider the power dissipated by the motor. We will use this equation, which is often overlooked by learners. where the average power dissipated is equal to the applied force multiplied by the average velocity. Now, if we look at our free body diagram, we will thus see that that force exerted is the force exerted by the motor times the average velocity of the load. Now, we've already established that the force exerted by the motor, which is equal to the weight of the load, is a constant value. Furthermore, the load is lifted at a constant speed, so the average velocity also remains constant. Now think about this. A constant multiplied by a constant will also give you a constant. Therefore, the power dissipated by the motor remains constant. In simple terms, this means that the amount of energy used every second remains constant. The correct answer is thus C. The work done by the motor increases as the load is lifted higher and higher, while the power dissipated by the motor remains constant. And that wraps up the first 5 multiple choice questions from the May-June 2026 physics paper. If this video was helpful, please like and share with your friends. If you have a question, please leave a comment below. Good luck with your revision, and I'll see you again in the next video.